It started with the dreams. Not nightmares. Those had their own flavor of terror. These were quiet, seductive. Too vivid to be just dreams and too strange to be called memories. Taylor would wake with her fingers curled around the edge of the sheets, skin warm, breath caught in her throat like she'd been chasing something in her sleep.
Someone.
Sometimes, she'd hear a heartbeat that wasn't hers. Not Reese's, either. Just a soft, distant thrum, like a drum buried under her ribs. She didn't tell Reese at first. Not because she wanted to lie, but because she couldn't explain it, not to herself, not to anyone. They'd fought so hard for this peace. For mornings that didn't start with blood or runes or council summons. Just sunlight through pine trees and coffee cups on the porch and Reese's voice still husky from sleep, murmuring, "Come back to bed, wife." But something had changed. It wasn't just the dreams. Her magic felt different. Wild again. Not angry like before, just unsettled. Like it was searching for something. Or someone. The first time it scared her, she was alone. Reese had gone into town to negotiate trade with a nearby pack, and Taylor had stayed back, claiming she wanted to rest. But she hadn't been able to sit still. The air itched on her skin. Her body pulsed with a heat she couldn't describe. And then she'd stood in front of the mirror in their cabin bathroom, and there it was. A faint glow.
Low.
Just below her navel, like fire trying to form a heartbeat. She touched it, and the magic flared, not in pain, but in recognition. That night, Reese returned to find her curled on the couch, wrapped in 3 blankets and staring at nothing. "Tell me," Reese said, kneeling in front of her, hands on Taylor's thighs. Taylor swallowed hard. "I think there's something inside me." Reese didn't flinch.
She didn't laugh.
She just looked at her the way she always did, with that focused, terrifying love. "Tell me everything." So Taylor did. The dreams, the glow, the thrum she couldn't unhear. And Reese, instead of panic, nodded slowly. "I felt it," she said. "When I touched you yesterday. Something ancient. Not dangerous, but alive." Taylor blinked. "You think this is what? Magic backlash?" "Maybe." Reese's hand moved gently across her abdomen. "Or maybe something in the bond changed when you broke that entity. You didn't just survive.
You rewrote something.
Something permanent. That's impossible. So, is everything about us?" Taylor pulled away, stood, paced. "The council made me sign a binding oath. No legacy. No continuation of the bloodline. My magic is tied to the land now, not to a future." "But the land doesn't make the rules," Reese said softly. "The bond does. We didn't just marry. We completed something older than their laws. You're more than witch and wolf. Her voice faltered. "You're something we don't have words for yet." That night, Taylor didn't sleep. She lay awake listening to Reese breathe, to the wind whisper through the trees, to that small, impossible heartbeat echoing through her core. 3 days later, it happened again. Only stronger. A burst of energy while chopping wood. Her vision blurred, and her magic lashed out, turning the axe to molten metal in her hands. Reese came running, found her on her knees, holding her stomach, gasping. "It moved," Taylor whispered. "I felt it." Reese dropped beside her, hands trembling. "Are you in pain?"
No.
"Just shaken." Reese lifted Taylor into her arms, carried her inside, set her down gently, and pressed a cool cloth to her forehead. "We need answers." "From who?" "The council already considers me a closed case." "Then not the council," Reese said. "There are older voices. Ones that don't sit in circles or hide behind scrolls." "You mean witches?" "I mean oracles." Taylor blinked. "They're myths." "So were you." The next morning they packed. Food, weapons, wards. Reese's face was calm, but Taylor could see the tension in the way she double-checked every blade. "You're scared," Taylor said. "I'm protective," Reese corrected. "I let the world try to take you once. Never again." They rode east, toward a part of the forest that even wolves whispered about. The land there had its own pulse, and the trees grew in spirals. After 3 days, they reached a stone circle hidden in the roots of a dead mountain. The oracle lived there. Or rather, waited. An old woman with bark for skin and eyes like molten gold. She said nothing when they arrived, just opened her arms and beckoned Taylor forward. Reese grabbed her hand. "I'm going with you." But the oracle shook her head. "This is her path." Taylor stepped forward alone. The light changed the moment she crossed the threshold. The world dimmed. Her skin tingled. And then the oracle touched her belly and gasped. "Oh, child," she whispered. "What grows in you was never meant to be born, and yet it comes anyway." "What is it?" Taylor asked, barely breathing. "Magic. Legacy. Blood and fire wrapped in a heartbeat." "A child?" "Yes," the oracle said. "And no." Taylor shook. "Will it kill me?" The oracle looked up. "That depends." "On what?" "On how many are willing to die to protect it." Taylor stepped back, the air crackling around her. The oracle pressed something into her hand, a charm made of bone and silver. "This will not protect you," she said, "but it will let the others know that you are marked, that the old blood lives again." "Others?" Taylor asked. But the oracle was already turning away. "The world will come for you now," she said. "And the fire inside you must decide whether it burns to destroy or to create." Reese was waiting outside. One look at Taylor's face and she knew. "It's real." Taylor nodded. "I'm pregnant." Reese stared, swallowed, then cupped her face and whispered, "We'll figure it out. We'll fight whatever comes. Even fate. Especially fate." Behind them, the wind shifted. Far off, something howled. And deep inside Taylor, that small heartbeat answered. The house didn't feel like home anymore. Not after what the oracle said. Taylor sat at the kitchen table, fingers wrapped tight around a mug of tea she hadn't sipped in over an hour. Steam still rose lazily, but it couldn't touch the cold blooming in her spine. Across from her, Reese watched in silence. Not tense, not afraid, just steady, like she was holding the line between calm and chaos by will alone. "You haven't said anything," Taylor whispered. "Because I'm waiting for you to catch up with yourself," Reese replied. "You've been quiet since we left the oracle. And I know you. Your silence is never empty." Taylor looked down at her hands. "I thought I'd feel joy. I thought if I ever heard something like this, it would feel miraculous. But all I feel is fear. And weight. Like I've swallowed a star that doesn't belong in this sky." "Stars change the sky, Tay," Reese said, voice low. "They don't ask permission. They just shine." Taylor swallowed hard. "What if shining costs us everything? Then we pay it together." That was the thing about Reese. She never used soft words to pretend away sharp truths. She met fear with fire. And Taylor loved her for it, even when it hurt. But the world wasn't going to wait for them to figure it out. The first sign came at dusk. The wind shifted. Birds stopped singing. Magic, old and electric, crawled through the pines like a warning. Reese was already up, hand on her blade, before Taylor even registered the knock on the door. A slow, deliberate knock. Not human. Not wolf. Something else. Reese opened it, body angled like a shield, and the scent hit them first. Smoke, rain, and copper. Blood and travel, and something not of this realm. Two figures stood outside. Cloaked. Hooded. One tall and lean, the other smaller but glowing faintly beneath their robes. "We come with warning," said the taller one. Their voice was neither male nor female. It was both. Ancient and strange. "And with no weapons," the other added. Reese didn't move. "Who sent you?" "The child," they answered together. "She called us." Taylor's blood froze. "It's not even fully formed yet." "How?" "Magic doesn't measure time like flesh does," the smaller one said, pulling back their hood to reveal pale lavender skin and eyes like moons. "What grows within you has already echoed into the ley lines. The veil is trembling." "Speak clearly," Reese growled. "What do you want?" "To help you survive what comes," the taller one said. "Because others are coming. Those who fear what this child represents. others who believe the only way to stop the prophecy is to end it before it breathes. Prophecy, Taylor echoed. The two beings shared a glance. Then the taller one reached into their cloak and withdrew a scroll. Old, blackened at the edges, sealed with a symbol neither Reese nor Taylor recognized, but Taylor's magic flared the second it came near. It's tied to me, she said. To the fire in you, the smaller being corrected. This was written long before your birth, by witches who saw through time. It speaks of a union between fire and Fong, of a child born from broken bindings, a child whose power would either tear the veils between worlds or heal them forever. Taylor stared at them. And you just believe I'm that person? We don't need to believe. We felt the spark. You're not just carrying a child. You're carrying convergence. Reese stepped in front of Taylor. And what exactly do you want from us? To warn you, the taller one said. And to tell you that the first hunters are already moving. From the east. From the cold lands where wraithborn ruins still pulse. Taylor's throat tightened. They're still alive.
Scattered. Broken.
But not gone. And now that the child's heartbeat touches the ley lines, they feel it, like wolves scenting blood. Taylor closed her eyes. Her hand drifted to her belly. The heartbeat was stronger now. Still soft. But sure. Reese dismissed the guests after they shared the rest of what they knew, locations, symbols, names of factions that might try to reach Taylor, kill her, or worse, take her somewhere and try to rip the child out through ritual. They won't get close, Reese said once the door was shut and triple-locked. They'd have to walk over my corpse. Let's not offer that option, Taylor said, trying to keep her voice from cracking. You're not dying for me again. Not this time. Reese moved to her, slow and fierce. I'm not dying at all. Her fingers slid under Taylor's chin, tilting her face up. You are not alone in this. Not ever. But we don't know what this is, Reese. This baby, this magic, it's not normal. It's not even supposed to be possible. Neither were we, Reese said. And look what we've survived. That night, Taylor stood on the porch alone. The stars above blinked with an intensity she hadn't seen in months. She pressed her hand over her belly. The glow was stronger now. And deep inside, a warmth answered. Not words, not thoughts, just presence. Then she heard it far off. A scream.
No. A howl.
It wasn't Reese. It wasn't anyone she knew. It came from the trees beyond the border of their land. A call. And Taylor, for the first time, howled back. Something shifted in the wind. And, in the woods, something responded. The ward screamed before the wolves did. It was a sound no one else could hear, a crackling buzz beneath Taylor's skin, a ripple through the runes carved into the wood of the cabin's foundation. It started as a shimmer in the air, a sudden drop in temperature, and then a sharp flare of heat. Reese was at the door in seconds, barefoot and half-dressed, the knife she kept under the bed already in her hand. South boundary, she said, voice low, already moving. Taylor didn't ask how she knew. She'd felt it too, the magic pushing back, trying to hold something out. Something old. Not animal. Not pack. Something wrong. Taylor followed her outside, pulse pounding, every cell in her body lit up like it remembered battle. The baby pulsed with her, a gentle echo, not afraid. Just aware. Reese stopped just before the treeline, eyes glowing amber in the early morning dark. The wind shifted. Taylor's breath caught. Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories. There were 3 of them, moving between shadows. Not wolves. Not witches. They wore robes dyed in ash and bone, and their hands were covered in symbols that shimmered faintly, sigils of binding, of silence, of unmaking. Wraithborn. Reese growled. Taylor's stomach turned. I thought they were broken. They are, Reese said. That doesn't mean they're not dangerous. The one in front stepped forward. He didn't speak with his mouth, but with magic. His words slid into Taylor's head like cold fingers. Return the unborn. Undo what never should have been. The blood is not yours to pass. Reese bared her teeth. She is not returning anything, especially not to ghosts in borrowed skin. The Wraithborn didn't flinch. You were warned. The bond is forbidden. The child will unmake us all. Taylor stepped forward, fire prickling at her fingertips. Then let it. The Wraithborn raised a hand. The others moved.
Fast.
Too fast. They didn't charge. They vanished, blinking forward like shadows breaking light. Reese moved to intercept, blades slashing upward in a silver arc, her body a blur of practiced violence. One of them dropped, throat opened like a torn page. But the second one got past her. Straight for Taylor. Taylor didn't run. She couldn't. Her body locked, but her magic didn't. It surged up from her core, instinctive, defensive, alive. Her eyes snapped gold, brighter than ever before, and the world slowed. The attacker reached for her and stopped mid-motion, like the air had turned to glass. Taylor didn't understand what she was doing, only that it was happening. Her hand lifted, and the magic inside her didn't just answer. It roared. Flames erupted from her palm. Not fire like before. This one shimmered blue and silver, flickering with threads of red. It struck the Wraithborn like a meteor, burning through their protective wards in an instant. He didn't scream. He couldn't. His body folded inward and vanished, consumed in light. Taylor collapsed to her knees, panting. Reese was there in seconds, covered in blood but still fierce and beautiful and hers. "You're okay," she said, grabbing Taylor's face. "I'm here." Taylor tried to nod. "I didn't mean to. I didn't know I could." "You didn't mean to what?" Reese asked, still scanning the woods. "Do the impossible?" Again, Taylor looked down at her hands. They were glowing, still burning faintly. "Reese, I think I've changed." Again. Reese took her by the shoulders. "You're evolving. And that makes sense. You're carrying something that wasn't meant to be, something tied to fire and fate and prophecy. We just didn't know it would start this soon." Taylor swallowed. The power. It wasn't mine. It felt like both of us. Like someone was helping me. Reese's face changed. "You think it was the baby?" Taylor looked up. It didn't feel like help. It felt like protection. Like she was shielding me.
She.
I don't know why I said that. Reese smiled softly. "You've always known things before they made sense." They burned the bodies. Said nothing as the smoke rose through the trees. By nightfall, the wards had been reinforced. New sigils carved. Reese didn't leave Taylor's side, not even for a moment. That night, in their bed, Taylor lay against her chest and whispered, "I killed someone. You protected yourself. Our child. But I didn't choose to. It just happened." Reese kissed her forehead. "You're not a weapon, Tay. You're a miracle. And sometimes, miracles are messy. What if I can't control it next time? Then we train. We adapt. We don't hide from who you are. We learn to wield it." The next day, Reese contacted an old ally, a woman named Ira, an exiled seer who once trained with the Bloodbound. She arrived by dusk, riding a horse as dark as ink, her eyes pale blue and too knowing. She looked at Taylor once and said, "You're carrying something older than death." Taylor shivered. That's not comforting. It wasn't meant to be. It's meant to be true. The days that followed were filled with fire and discipline. Ira taught Taylor how to anchor her power, how to feel the child's presence, without letting it consume her. "You're not two beings," Ira said. "You are one layered. You must learn to speak in both voices." And slowly, Taylor began to understand. Her magic wasn't alone anymore. It had rhythm, memory, purpose. And the child, her daughter, wasn't sleeping. She was watching, sometimes helping, sometimes testing. One night, after a particularly intense lesson, Taylor staggered back into the house, sweat-soaked and aching, and collapsed into Reese's arms. "You still want this?" she whispered. "This chaos. This danger. This version of me." Reese kissed her. Hard.
Deep.
"I never wanted safety. I wanted you. Every version. Every wildfire. Taylor kissed her back like it was the first time, like it was a promise. Their bodies fit together with the desperation of two people who had been fighting too long and needed to remember what they were fighting for. The next morning, Ira stood on the porch and said, "You have a visitor." Taylor stepped outside, confused. No one should have been able to reach them, not through the wards. But when she looked toward the edge of the clearing, her breath left her body. A woman stood there.
Tall. Pale.
Familiar. Eyes like her own, but older.
Sharper.
With scars running down her neck. Who? Taylor started. Reese appeared beside her, freezing mid-step. "Kale," she whispered. But it wasn't Kale. The woman stepped forward and said, "I'm not your father. I'm your aunt. And if you want that child to survive, you need to run." The woman standing at the edge of the ward looked like a secret Taylor wasn't ready to remember. She didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't blink, just waited. As if she already knew what Taylor would choose. Reese stepped in front of her, but Taylor gently laid a hand on her arm. "It's okay," she said, though nothing felt okay. Not the air, which had gone thick and heavy. Not the thrum of power vibrating in her skin. And definitely not the heartbeat inside her, which quickened at the sight of the stranger like it recognized her. The woman crossed the barrier, without effort. That alone was terrifying. The wards should have held. Reese tensed. "No one gets through unless we invite them." The woman raised a pale brow. "That's true, if you're using wolf wards. But these weren't built to keep out wraithborn blood. And I am very much that." Taylor's voice came out quieter than she meant it to. "You said you're my aunt." "I am." The woman removed her hood. Her face was angular, elegant, almost regal, so much like Kale's it made Taylor ache. "My name is Saris. I was Kale's sister, exiled before he built his cult of blood." "Why?" Reese asked sharply. Saris turned her gaze to her. "Because I refused to give up my soul. I was meant to be his second, but I saw what he was becoming and tried to stop him. He tried to kill me. I escaped." Taylor folded her arms across her chest. "Why now? Why appear now?" "Because the child inside you is waking the old lines. And with that awakening comes danger. Not just wraithborn remnants, but something deeper, older. And Kale isn't gone." The words hit like cold water. Taylor shook her head.
"He died."
"I saw it. I killed him." "You destroyed his body," Saris said softly. "But wraithborn magic doesn't end with flesh. His soul was cast out, fragmented. I've felt the whispers. They're trying to rebuild him. Through you. Through the child." Reese growled. "That's not possible." "It is," Saris said, "if they perform the blood rebirth." Silence. And then Taylor said the words she didn't want to speak. "What is that?" Saris's gaze was heavy. "A ritual. Ancient. Forbidden. It requires the blood of the next generation, yours, and the ashes of the last. They believe your child can serve as a vessel. Not to carry life, but to bring back the dead." "No," Reese snarled. "No one touches her. No one touches either of them." "That's why I'm here," Saris said. "To warn you. To help you run." Taylor stepped forward. "I'm done running." Saris looked at her like she wanted to argue. Then she smiled, just barely. "You sound like my brother. Before he lost himself." "Good," Taylor said. "Because I'm going to finish what I started. And if he's trying to come back, he won't find the same girl he tried to manipulate last time." "He's not just trying to come back," Saris said. "He's gathering followers again. There are whispers of a hidden temple in the north. It's where they're keeping the ashes. Once the child is born, they'll come for her, with every blade and spell they have." Taylor laid a hand on her belly. "Then we don't wait for them to come. We go to them first." "You want to attack a wraithborn stronghold?" Reese asked. "While pregnant. You think I'm fragile now?" Taylor asked, heat in her voice. "After everything we've survived?" Reese's face softened, but her eyes stayed hard.
"No."
"I think you're unstoppable. And that terrifies me." Saris nodded slowly. "If we move fast, we might have a chance." But it won't be easy. The temple is hidden behind illusions, and it's protected by revenants, souls bound to bone and ash. I've faced worse, Taylor said. You haven't, Saris replied. But maybe you could survive it. If you accept what you are. Taylor tilted her head. And what's that? Saris stepped close. You're not just carrying the child of prophecy. You are the prophecy. Your power isn't a side effect of pregnancy. The child and your magic are linked. Symbiotic. She's already feeding from your energy, growing stronger. But you're feeding off hers too. And soon, you'll have to make a choice. How far you're willing to go to protect her. Rhys interrupted. You said you wanted to help. So, help us find this temple. Help us end this. Saris nodded. But first, you'll need allies. Ones the council won't approve of. I don't care about the council, Taylor said. I care about keeping her safe. Then you'll need to speak to the Bone Pact. Rhys swore. You're insane. They owe me, Sarah said. And they hate Kale more than anyone alive. Who are they? Taylor asked. Witches, Saris replied. But not like the ones you've met. They deal in death. In bargains. In bone and breath. But if anyone can get us through the temple's wards, it's them. Then let's go, Taylor said. Before Kale finishes what he started. They left that night. Taylor rode behind Rhys, arms around her waist, belly pressing into her spine, and every movement a reminder of what they were risking. But Taylor didn't falter. Not anymore. Not when she could feel her daughter's magic pulsing inside her, a second heartbeat, guiding her forward. They reached the edge of the marshlands by dawn. The sky was gray. The air smelled of rot and salt. And standing at the border of the old bone-packed territory was a circle of totems made of skulls and feathers, humming with dark magic. Saris stepped forward and slit her palm. Blood hit the ground and vanished into the soil. A moment later, the fog parted. A woman emerged, tall and covered in black lace. Her face was hidden by a veil, but her presence was like gravity. Saris, she said, you bring us trouble. I bring you purpose, Saris replied. The woman tilted her head, eyes glowing faintly behind the veil. Then she looked at Taylor. You reek of prophecy and fire. And something unborn. I need your help, Taylor said. To stop what's coming. To end Kale before he returns. And what will you give us in return? Whatever you ask, Rhys growled. We don't make deals without knowing the cost. The woman smiled. Then you've never understood power. Taylor stepped forward. If I don't make it out of this, raise my daughter in secret. Protect her. Hide her from anyone who comes looking. The woman studied her. Why do you assume you'll die? Because the last time I faced Kale, I had nothing to lose. Now I have everything. The witch nodded slowly. Then we accept your request. We'll open the path. But you walk it alone. Taylor corrected. We walk it. She turned to Rhys. You don't have to come. Don't insult me, Rhys said. I'm your wife. I'm her other mother. We end this together. And Saris, standing beside them with old rage in her eyes, whispered, Then may the gods have mercy on us all. The ground changed the moment they crossed the veil. The trees twisted inward, growing in impossible angles like they'd been bent by screams. The air tasted of ash and iron. Even the light shifted, not dark, exactly, but gray. Like the sky had forgotten what color was. Taylor's magic went still. Not gone. Just listening. Her daughter pulsed low in her belly, a flicker of warmth in the cold. Saris led the way, her steps silent. Rhys walked behind Taylor, close enough that their bodies brushed every few seconds. It was a small touch, but it anchored Taylor to something real. Something alive. This place was built on blood, Saris murmured. Before Kale claimed it, it was a prison for cursed souls. He turned it into a sanctuary for his followers. They believed death was the final evolution. Charming, Rhys muttered. Taylor didn't speak. Her senses were stretched too thin. Every breath felt like glass. Every heartbeat echoed in her ears. And then, without warning, the trees opened into a clearing. The temple stood at the center, a black stone structure that pulsed faintly with sickly red veins. It looked alive.
And wrong.
Taylor stepped forward, but Saris caught her arm. Once you go in, it will know you. It already does, Taylor said, and pulled free. The door wasn't a door at all, just an opening cut into the stone, wide enough for one person at a time. Taylor went first. Reese followed. Saris last. Inside, the world shifted. The stone walls pulsed with old magic. Runes written in blood moved across the surface like they were still alive. Taylor tried to read them, and instantly regretted it. Her vision swam. The room warped. Suddenly, she was no longer standing in the temple. She was in her childhood bedroom. The lights were dim. Her father's voice echoed from the hallway. "Come here, Taylor. Don't be afraid." She backed away. This isn't real. But it felt real. The sheets on the bed. The cracked floorboard near the closet. The scent of whiskey and salt. Then Cale stepped into the room. Not dead. Not broken.
Whole.
Smiling. "You've grown," he said. "But you're still mine." "No," Taylor whispered. "You're a ghost. I'm your blood. Your beginning. And I will be your end." He stepped closer. "That thing inside you isn't a miracle. It's a mistake. A weapon." Taylor shook her head. "She's life." "She's a key," Cale snapped. "And you were always the door." The room darkened. Shadows poured from the corners. Cale reached for her. "Let me in." Taylor screamed. But it wasn't fear. It was fury. Her magic snapped awake like fire breaking from chains. The bedroom shattered like glass, and she was back in the temple, on her knees, panting. Reese was beside her, shaking her. Tay, come back to me." "He was here," Taylor gasped. "He tried to get inside me. Into the baby." "You burned through the illusion," Sarah said. "That's rare." "He's in the walls," Taylor said. "He's waiting." They moved deeper. The halls twisted. Voices whispered. Saris warned them not to answer. "This place feeds on doubt. On grief." Taylor gripped Reese's hand tighter. The temple shifted again. This time, the vision was different. She stood in a wedding dress. Alone.
No guests.
No altar. Just a ring in her hand. And Reese walking away. "I can't," Reese said, her voice breaking. "I love you, but this is too much." "No," Taylor whispered. "Don't leave me." "You're changing," the illusion Reese said. "I don't recognize you anymore." Taylor felt herself fall. Break.
Beg.
"Don't do this." "You're not my wife," illusion Reese said. "You're a prophecy in human skin." Then she turned to ash. And the world collapsed. Taylor didn't scream this time.
She roared.
Power burst from her body in waves. Real Reese pulled her from the illusion, holding her face. "Look at me. I'm here. I'm real. I'm not going anywhere." Taylor collapsed into her arms. "He's trying to make me doubt you. Us." "Then hold on to me harder," Reese whispered. "Let him try." They reached the heart of the temple, a chamber made of bone and obsidian. At its center, an altar of blackened stone. On it, an urn.
Silent. Closed.
But humming with power. Taylor's skin crawled. "That's him." "What's left of him," Saris corrected. "We burn it," Reese said.
Now.
But Saris hesitated. "If we do it wrong, it might release what's trapped." "Then we do it right," Taylor said. She stepped forward. Her daughter pulsed in her belly, warm and steady. "I need to speak to him." "Absolutely not," Reese growled. "It's the only way. I have to face him. No illusions. No tricks. Just me." Saris placed a warding charm on her wrist. "If he tries to enter you, this will stop him. Once." Taylor nodded and stepped up to the urn. She placed her hand on it. The chamber dimmed. Heat poured from the stone. And then, Cale's voice filled her mind.
"Daughter."
"Not anymore," Taylor said. "You can't stop what's begun. You think that child is yours? She's mine. Made from my blood, my prophecy. You're wrong. She'll open the veil. Bring power. Bring death." "No," Taylor whispered. She'll bring choice. Kale laughed. You'll never be free of me. I already am. She poured her magic into the urn. Flames burst upward, swallowing it whole. Screams echoed through the stone, and then silence. Just the crackle of fire. The urn was gone, the chamber still, and Taylor was standing.
Alive.
Breathing. Reese ran to her, cupped her face. You're okay? Taylor nodded, tears falling. It's over. Saris watched from the shadows.
No.
It's begun. Taylor looked down. Her belly glowed. A new kind of warmth. Her daughter was singing inside her. Not with words. With magic. And in that moment, Taylor knew, their fight wasn't over. It was only the first victory. But this time, they wouldn't fight for survival. They'd fight for a future. Together. They returned under a sky carved with gold. Not stars, embers. The flames Taylor summoned inside the Wraithborn temple hadn't died. They lingered, scattered in the sky like scars. A message to anyone watching: Kale is gone. And the fire is awake. But peace didn't greet them. The cabin felt different. Quieter. Not empty, watched. Taylor felt it first. The way the trees leaned in just slightly more than before. The way the wind whispered her name, not like welcome, but warning. Reese circled the perimeter 3 times before she even crossed the threshold. Something shifted, she said. It's not just the wards. It's the land. Like it's holding its breath. Or waiting for something, Taylor whispered. She pressed a hand over her belly. Her daughter's heartbeat was stronger now, sharper. Like it was no longer just a response, but a pulse of intent. That night, Taylor dreamed of fire. Not destruction. Not death. But birth. She stood in a forest of silver trees, her body glowing, her daughter cradled not in her arms, but in light. A voice whispered, She is older than time. She is yours because she chose you. And then the dream fractured, shattered by a howl.
Real.
Close. Taylor bolted upright. Reese was already gone. The door was open. The wind carried a scent Taylor didn't recognize, lavender and rust and something sharp. She stepped outside barefoot, magic humming against her skin. That's when she saw them. A woman. Alone. Standing at the edge of the ward, one hand raised in surrender. She was tall, lean, and every inch of her screamed danger, even with the smile on her lips. Reese stood 10 paces away, blade drawn but unmoving. Taylor approached slowly. Who is she? She asked. Reese's jaw clenched. Her name is Kala. And she's my ex. Silence. Sharp. Heavy. Taylor blinked. What is she doing here? I came to help, Kala said, voice smooth and low. I heard Kale's ashes burned, which means the real fight is about to start. Reese didn't lower her blade. You're not part of this anymore. No, Kala said, eyes sliding to Taylor. But she is. And she's carrying something that's already singing through the ley lines. The bone-packed lit signal fires. The oracles are waking up. You think you can protect her alone? We've done fine so far, Reese snapped. Taylor stepped forward. Why now? Kala tilted her head. Because I've seen what comes next. There's a power forming, a convergence. Your child will be the first of her kind, and you won't be the only ones who want her. And you do? Reese asked, voice cold. I don't want her, Kala said. I want to help her live. That's all. Reese lowered her blade an inch. You still lie beautifully. And you still pretend not to miss me. That landed like a slap. Taylor stiffened, but before she could speak, Kala turned to her. You don't know me, but I know what it's like to love someone who burns. I'm not afraid of Reese, Taylor said. You should be, Kala said softly, because one day she'll choose between you and the world. And I've seen how that ends. Taylor didn't blink. She already chose me. Every time. Kala smiled, sad and sharp. Then I hope you never bleed for that choice. Reese stepped between them. Enough. You came here with a message. Give it. Kala nodded. There's movement in the north. Packs aligning under an old symbol. One not seen since before the council rose. They call themselves the Hollow. They believe your daughter will tear the veil. They're not just wolves. They're hybrids, blood magic bound, and they want her heart before her first breath. Why warn us? Taylor asked. Because I still owe Reese a life, Calla said. And because I believe in second chances. Even for children not yet born. Taylor searched her face. Are you staying? Only if you let me. Reese didn't speak. Taylor did. One night, under watch. Calla nodded. Fair. That night, the tension was thick enough to cut. Reese didn't touch Taylor. Not because she didn't want to, but because she couldn't. There was a wound between them, opened by a history Taylor hadn't expected. In the dark, Taylor whispered, You never told me about her. Because she doesn't matter. But she did. Reese sat up, shadows carving her face. She mattered in a different life. A version of me I don't recognize anymore. She left when things got hard. When I started choosing duty over comfort. You never asked me to choose. You just stood beside me. Every time. Taylor touched her arm. I'm not jealous. I want to know all of you. Even the parts that hurt. Then you should know, Reese said softly. I was in love with her. And she broke me.
But you rebuilt me.
With no promises. No demands. Just truth. You're not part of my past, Taylor. You're the reason I still have a future. Taylor leaned in and kissed her, slow and full of weight. Then come back to bed. Be mine. All over again. And Reese did. That night they didn't make love like a first time. They made love like a vow. A burning, breathless declaration that whatever came next, they were indivisible, unshakable, unstoppable. At dawn, Calla was gone. No note. No trail. Just a single flower left on the porch, lavender and black. A sign. A warning. Taylor stared at it for a long time. She's not done with us, she said. No, Reese agreed. But we're not the same people she left behind. That evening, Taylor's power surged again. Not in battle. In birth. She collapsed in the kitchen, breath stolen, vision gone white. Reese caught her before she hit the floor. Taylor. Her body arched. Her eyes went gold. And her daughter's magic flooded the room, crashing through wards, breaking glass, shaking the ground. And then, just like that, it stopped. Taylor gasped. Sweat poured down her face. And she whispered one word. Her name is Ember. Reese clutched her tighter. What? She told me. Taylor breathed. She has a name now. She's real. Reese held her like a prayer. Then let the world come. Because no one touches Ember and lives. Taylor had always known that love could be magic. But it wasn't until she felt Ember speak inside her that she understood it could also be sacred. It didn't happen with words. It didn't need them. Ember spoke in pulses, emotions, images, flashes of forests bathed in silver moonlight, of fire that didn't burn, of hands reaching out across impossible distances. Reese had been the first person to ever make Taylor feel safe. Ember was the first to make her feel eternal. And now, as the baby grew, Taylor felt herself changing again, not with fear, but with awe. She's not just a child, Taylor whispered one night, curled against Reese under the soft weight of their quilts, breath warm against her throat. She's conscious, watching, learning. I don't know how, but I can feel her understanding the world already. Reese pulled her closer, strong arms wrapping around her waist. She's a miracle. So are you. Do you ever think we weren't supposed to survive this long? Every day, Reese said. And every day, I'm more grateful that we did. Taylor twisted slightly to look into her wife's eyes. You don't miss who you were before me? Before us. Reese's mouth quirked into a tired, beautiful smile. I miss the simplicity, but not the emptiness. You gave me purpose. And now. She laid a hand on Taylor's belly, where Ember's magic flickered warm under her skin. Now we get to protect something that didn't exist before us. We're building a world she'll live in. That's bigger than fate. Bigger than prophecy. That's ours. Taylor's eyes burned. Not from pain, but from love that had nowhere to go but out. She leaned forward and kissed Reese, slowly, reverently. A kiss not of hunger, but of belonging. Their bodies tangled beneath the moonlight that night, not in desperation, but in devotion. Every touch a promise. Every breath shared. Every whispered name like a spell cast between lovers who had chosen each other against all odds. Taylor came apart in Reese's arms, gasping her name like prayer. And when Reese collapsed beside her, still trembling from her own release, Taylor curled into her chest and whispered, "No matter what happens, I'd choose you again, even if the world ends." "If it ends," Reese murmured, brushing sweat-damp hair from Taylor's brow, "we'll light a fire big enough to start a new one." In the days that followed, Ember's presence grew clearer. Taylor began seeing through her daughter's eyes in dreams, visions of endless meadows, of glowing wolves with wings, of stars that whispered secrets. The connection was raw and radiant. Reese watched her with equal parts awe and anxiety. "Your eyes change when she's close," she said one morning, tracing the new golden streaks in Taylor's irises. "Not just the color. The shape shifts. It's like something ancient is blooming inside you." "She's not human," Taylor whispered. "She's not wolf. Not witch. She's something new, and that terrifies them." "Let them be terrified," Reese growled. "They'll never touch her." But the danger was no longer distant. The hollow had crossed into the western woods. Saris had vanished, leaving behind only a rune etched in frost on the window, a sign of silent warning. And the wards around the cabin had begun to hum louder, like they were bracing for impact. Reese called in a favor, one she swore she'd never use. She summoned the Moonbone Pact. Outlaws. Exiles. Wolves with magic in their veins and a reputation for bending nature to their will. "You told me they were unstable," Taylor said as they approached. "They are," Reese replied. "But they're loyal to me. I saved their alpha's mate once. And now she owes me her life." Taylor hesitated. "And this won't cost you yours?" "Not if we're smart." The Moonbone Pact arrived in the night. 10 wolves. Silent. Eyes glowing silver blue. Their alpha was a woman named Isolde, tall and grave, with a jagged scar across her mouth. She said little, only looked at Taylor and said, "You carry fire in a womb of stars. We will guard you until blood is spilled, or prophecy fulfilled." Taylor didn't trust them, but she trusted Reese. And Reese didn't flinch. That night, the house was surrounded by sentinels cloaked in bone and fur. Taylor stood on the porch, watching them move through the trees like spirits. Reese joined her, handing her a mug of tea. "Do you regret this?" Taylor asked softly. "Any of it?" "No," Reese said. "I just wish we had more time to be us before the world started trying to end again." Taylor leaned into her. "We still have time." "Then let me use it." Reese turned her, cupped her face. "I want to take you away, even just for a night. Somewhere no one knows us. Just you and me. No prophecy. No guards. No fire." Taylor closed her eyes. "I want that so badly it hurts." Reese kissed her, gentle, lingering. "Then tomorrow we make it happen." They left before dawn. Just the two of them. No weapons. No magic. Just an old truck Reese had hidden in a cave near the cliffs. They drove in silence until the trees gave way to a lake, so still it looked like glass. Reese had built a cabin there years ago. For a life she thought she'd never live. Now, she opened the door and said, "Welcome home for tonight."
And it was.
Just for one night. Taylor bathed in the lake, Reese watching from the shore like she was witnessing divinity. They made love on the floor beside the fire, wrapped in old blankets and promises. Taylor cried after, tears she hadn't let fall in weeks. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Not of dying. Of losing you." Reese kissed the tears away. "You won't. We're soulbound. Even if the world turns to ash, I'll find you in the next one." Taylor touched her face. "You're the only reason I'm brave enough to keep going." "And you," Reese said, pressing her forehead to Taylor's, are the reason I still believe in something after death. That night, Taylor dreamed of Ember again. Only this time, the vision wasn't of peace. It was blood,
Fire.
and a voice, clear echoing. The Hollow is coming. And they are not alone. She woke with a scream in her throat and Reese holding her tight. What is it? They're close. So close. And something else, something worse, is with them. Reese didn't blink. Then we don't go back. We make our stand here. Taylor shook her head. We can't fight them. Not here. We need a sanctuary. Where? Taylor's eyes flared gold. We make one. With fire. With bone. With love. Ember stirred inside her, and the world felt ready to burn. It wasn't enough to run. Not anymore. Ember was no longer just a spark waiting to be born. She was awake, aware, growing stronger with each breath Taylor took. And the Hollow were moving like a storm across the map, devouring every sanctuary known to the Council. Every spell-wrapped grove. Every blood-bound bastion. There was nowhere left to hide. So they stopped running. They would build their own. Not a place to disappear. A place to stand. The Moonbone Pact showed them how. It began with bones. Old ones. Buried beneath the roots of the oldest trees, drawn from the earth like memories long forgotten. The wolves worked silently, weaving them into the trees, binding them with spells older than language. Taylor could feel the magic in the ground, humming beneath her feet. It recognized her. Not just her power, but her daughters. Reese never left her side. Not during the building, not during the carving, not even when Taylor's strength faltered and her magic surged wild and furious through the clearing. She was there.
Steady.
Unmoving. Her anchor. Her wife. We'll call it Ember's Reach, Taylor said, one hand resting on her belly where the faint golden glow had become constant. It'll be more than protection. It'll be hers. A beginning. But the sanctuary needed more than structure. It needed a heart. A soul must be offered, said Iseult, Alpha of the Moonbone Pact. Not to lose. To bind. This place will reflect the power of the one who gives it life. It will know her pain, her purpose, her love. Taylor didn't hesitate. I'll do it. Reese grabbed her wrist. You don't even know what it costs. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Taylor turned, eyes glowing like molten gold. This child exists because I chose to love you. And this sanctuary will exist because I choose to protect her. Both choices are mine. Let me make this one. Reese's jaw clenched. Then I'm doing it with you. Iseult shook her head. Two souls cannot anchor the same ritual. The magic would tear the ground apart. Then bind her soul to mine, Taylor said. Make us one. Silence fell like snow. Iseult stared at her. You don't understand what you're asking.
This is not a vow.
It's not a ceremony. This is forever. Soul binding cannot be undone. If one dies, the other follows. No time. No waiting. No mercy. I know, Taylor said. Reese stepped forward, voice low and steady. And I want it too. Do you? Taylor asked, her voice catching. Even with everything coming? Even if I lose control again? Especially then, Reese said. I don't want a life you're not in. The ritual began at twilight. The clearing burned with silver fire. The Moonbone Pact stood in a wide circle, chanting in a language that twisted the air. Taylor stood at the center, barefoot, belly bare, the mark of Ember's power glowing softly beneath her skin. Reese stood opposite, heart naked in her eyes. Iseult stepped between them. Speak your truth. Speak your bond. Taylor spoke first. I've known fear. I've known doubt. But with you, I know home. You made me strong. You made me brave. And every time the world tried to break me, you stood in front of it. I choose you not because I need you, but because I will never stop wanting you. Reese's voice shook. I was stone before you.
Cold.
Sharp. You cracked me open. Let the light in. You are not my weakness. You are my reason. My war. My peace. And I would burn down kingdoms just to see you smile one more time. The fire flared. Isolde raised her hands. Then as alpha and witness, I seal this bond. By bone, by blood, by breath, you are one. The ground shook. Light erupted. Taylor felt her soul stretch, not torn, not lost, but met. Rhys's presence filled her, soft and wild and infinite. For a moment, there was no skin between them, no space, no separation, just love.
Pure. Terrifying.
Eternal. When it ended, they collapsed into each other, breathless. And the forest bent to them. Trees shifted inward. The earth softened. Magic rushed into the clearing, flooding it with light. The sanctuary was alive, bound to them. And Ember's laugh, bright and full of starlight, echoed through the trees. They had done it. They had created a place no enemy could cross without being invited. But the joy didn't last long. That night, while Taylor and Rhys lay curled in the sanctuary's center, a whisper slithered through the boundary. A voice not human, not wolf, something forgotten. Taylor sat up, breath caught. Did you hear that? Rhys nodded, already reaching for a blade. The whisper came again. The child is not yours. She was promised to the Hollow, and they are coming to claim her. The trees shook. The fire dimmed, and somewhere beyond the edge of the sanctuary, hundreds of eyes blinked open in the dark. Taylor stood, fury in her chest. Let them try. Her magic surged, rising around her in flames the color of moonsong. And from inside her womb, Ember responded, not with fear, but with power. She would not be taken. She would be born burning, and nothing in the dark would survive her light. It started with the wind. Not a breeze, not a storm, a silence so vast and sudden it carved the air clean. Birds vanished. The trees stopped moving. Even the fire inside the sanctuary flickered once, then dimmed. Not from cold, but from fear. Rhys was the first to stand. Her blade was already in hand, her body a wall of muscle and instinct between Taylor and the dark. Taylor's magic snapped awake in response, flaring like a pulse across her skin. Inside her belly, Ember stirred. Not with panic, with readiness. She was aware now. Alive in ways no unborn child should be. Taylor could feel her daughter pressing up against the boundaries of the womb, magic coiled tight, waiting. Then came the sound. Not a howl. Not footsteps. A chant, low and rhythmic, rippling through the trees like a disease. The Hollow had arrived. And they weren't hiding. They wanted to be heard.
Seen. Feared.
The moonbone sentries at the edges of the sanctuary raised the alarm through howls that twisted the night sky. They're surrounding us, Isolde growled, emerging from the shadows. Every entrance. Every ley line. They've come in numbers. Let them, Taylor said. They'll learn who they came for. Rhys looked at her. Stay close to me. Taylor turned, fire dancing at her fingertips.
No.
Stay close to me. The Hollow broke through the treeline like a swarm. Wolves, witches, creatures twisted by magic and blood. Some ran on four legs, others walked upright, their eyes glowing red, their mouths smeared with iron and ash. At their center, cloaked in a hood woven from shadows and bone, stood a woman. Not a beast, not a warrior, a priestess. She raised one pale hand, and the others stilled instantly. We come for the child, she said, her voice cold and melodic. She is not yours. She was forged from broken magic, promised to the Hollow long before conception. Taylor stepped forward. She's mine. Body, soul, and fire. She was never promised to anyone but herself. Then you defy prophecy, the priestess said. You risk balance, tear at fate. You birth a weapon. Rhys's voice cut through the dark like steel. She's not a weapon. She's a girl. And we are her mothers. If you try to take her, we won't try, the priestess said. She lifted her hand. The Hollow charged. The battle ignited like a wildfire. Spells collided midair. Wolves tore through shadows. The sanctuary flared with golden light as its wards screamed awake. Reese fought like death in motion, her blade singing, blood painting her arms and chest as she cut down creature after creature. Taylor stood at the center of a sanctuary, Ember's power wrapped around her like a second skin. The baby was no longer hiding. She was helping. Flames poured from Taylor's palms, but they weren't hers alone. They pulsed with Ember's energy, white-hot, glowing gold at the core.
She didn't attack.
She answered every strike with blinding radiance, and the hollow began to fall back. But the priestess didn't. She stepped into the sanctuary with quiet purpose, untouched by the wards. That alone made Taylor's heart stumble. "How are you inside?" "Because I am already bound to her," the priestess said, eyes landing on Taylor's belly. "She called to me. Long ago. In dreams. In blood. She chose me." "No," Taylor whispered. "She chose us." "She is the child of prophecy," the priestess hissed. "The one who will rip the veil between life and death. I have served that vision since before your blood remembered its name." "Prophecy isn't ownership," Taylor said. "It's just a warning." The priestess raised her hands. The ground cracked. Bones rose from the earth, forming a circle around Taylor like a cage. Reese tried to reach her, but a wall of hollow magic shoved her back, hard. "Taylor." Taylor dropped to her knees, magic surging, Ember pushing through her like lightning. The priestess stepped closer. "Give her to me. Willingly. Let her be what she was made to be." "She was made to live," Taylor growled. "Not to serve. Not to bleed for your vision." "Then you will watch her burn inside you," the priestess snarled. "And know you failed her." Taylor touched the ground. Her power flared, not from rage. From love. The love she felt the moment she realized she wasn't alone in her body. The love that bloomed every time Reese whispered that they were a family. The love that had nothing to do with fate, and everything to do with choice. "Ember," she whispered, "I'm not strong enough alone. But if you're ready, we can do this together." And Ember answered. The magic exploded. The bones cracked and turned to ash. The priestess screamed, shielding her face, but the light seared through her shadow cloak. Taylor rose, glowing from within. Her daughter's magic wrapped around her like wings. Together, they stepped forward. "You don't own her," Taylor said. "She belongs to no one. Not even me. But we fight as one." The hollow began to retreat. The priestess stumbled, half-blind, snarling curses in dead tongues. "This isn't over," she hissed. "It never is," Reese said, stepping beside Taylor, blood and fire on her skin. "But neither are we." The priestess vanished in a plume of black smoke. And just like that, it was quiet again. Bodies littered the forest. The ward pulsed steady. Ember's glow softened. Taylor collapsed into Reese's arms. "She's okay." "So are you," Reese whispered. "So are we." Isolde and her wolves tended to the wounded. But no one spoke for a long time. Then Taylor whispered. "She showed me something." In that moment, a vision, a place beyond time, a circle of stone, and a voice. What did it say? Reese asked. "She will not break the veil. She is the veil. And what she births will be the end of prophecy itself." Reese froze. "What does that mean?" Taylor closed her eyes. "I don't know. But the Hollow think they've lost. And I think they've only just begun to understand what she truly is." "What is she, Tay?" Taylor placed Reese's hand on her belly. "She's hope, made flesh." Reese pulled her close. "Then hope just set the forest on fire. And I've never been so proud." They stood there together, wrapped in blood, magic, and the quiet heartbeat of something stronger than any spell. Love. And beneath Taylor's skin, Ember smiled. Taylor's body was no longer only hers. It hadn't been for months, but now it felt different. Deeper, heavier, sacred. Every breath she took echoed in her daughter's heart. Every emotion she felt stirred Ember's magic like wind across flame. And the world felt it too. The days following the battle were not silent. The earth shifted. Wards across the territory flickered, and ancient stones began to hum. In far-off mountains, priestesses who hadn't spoken in centuries opened their mouths to chant. Wolves in the east howled under full moons with voices they didn't recognize. And deep in the heart of Taylor's sanctuary, she woke one night knowing Ember was ready. But not here. Not in the sanctuary. Not even in the protection of the Moonbone Pact.
No.
Ember needed to be born in the place from Taylor's vision. The Circle of Stone. The place older than prophecy. The Circle of the Forgotten Moon. Saris returned the moment Taylor said the name. She stepped out of the shadows as if summoned. That place is a death sentence, she said. Or a rebirth. Depending on who walks through it. Then I'll walk, Taylor said. We'll walk, Reese corrected, standing beside her. Saris exhaled slowly, eyeing both of them. You realize that place is beyond time. It bends truth. Memory.
Pain.
It will ask everything of you, and give nothing unless you're willing to bleed for it. We already have, Taylor said, and we'll do it again. The journey to the Forgotten Moon took 2 days. 2 days of magic thick in the air, of Ember pulsing stronger with every step, of Reese never once letting go of Taylor's hand. The closer they got, the more the world changed. Trees grew in impossible shapes. The moon hovered high even during daylight. And time slowed, stretched, folded. Taylor blinked once and saw the first night she kissed Reese. Blinked again and saw Ember in her arms, older, glowing, laughing. It's the veil, Saris whispered. You're already crossing it. The circle revealed itself at twilight. 13 standing stones carved with runes older than language. Each stone radiated power. And in the center, a pool of still silver water. Taylor stepped inside the circle barefoot, Reese beside her, their hands intertwined, their hearts already beating in rhythm. The moment her foot touched the pool's surface, a contraction struck like a thunderclap. Taylor gasped, folding forward. Embers surged. The birth had begun. Saris created a warding ring, holding back the twisted forest. Isolde and 2 moonbone sentries circled the perimeter. But this wasn't a battle they could fight. This was between a mother, her wife, and the child that defied destiny. Taylor collapsed to her knees in the water, breath short, magic flickering around her like lightning. She's coming, she gasped.
Now.
I can't, it's so much. Reese knelt behind her, supporting her weight, arms wrapped around her, grounding her with love. I've got you. I'm here. I've always been here. It hurts, Taylor choked. I know, Reese whispered, kissing her temple, but you're the strongest woman I've ever known. And she's watching. She's listening. You're not doing this alone. Ember's magic burst outward like a star. The water glowed. The stones shook. Taylor screamed, not just in pain, but in power. And then everything went still. She fell forward into Reese's arms. And when she opened her eyes, she wasn't in the circle anymore. She was in a forest made of fire. Not burning. Breathing. At the center stood a little girl. Barefoot. Hair of gold and flame. Eyes like Reese's, fierce, soft, immortal. Ember, Taylor whispered. You're here. The girl smiled. I wanted to meet you before the world did. But you're still inside me.
Yes.
But not for long. I'm almost ready. But I need you to know something. What? You made me from love. You made me free. And that means I won't always be safe. But I will always be yours. Taylor's eyes filled. I'm scared. Me too, Ember whispered. But we don't have to be. She reached out, and when Taylor took her hand, the fire around them surged, soft, not searing, a cocoon of warmth. And then Taylor was back. In her body. In the circle. In Reese's arms. The sky had turned completely black, but the stones glowed white. Taylor screamed once, twice, then her body gave way. And Ember was born into fire and moonlight. Her cry wasn't loud. It was vibrant, musical, like a bell being struck inside the world's soul. Reese caught her, hands steady, eyes full of tears. She's God's, she's perfect. Taylor reached for her, and Ember curled instantly into her chest, magic rippling between them like breath. And for a long moment, the world held still.
Time. Prophecy. War.
All of it faded. There was only this: a daughter, a mother, a wife, a bond no god could sever. Saris approached slowly. The hollow will feel this birth. The veil trembled, and something ancient woke up. Let them come, Taylor said softly, eyes never leaving Ember's face. We're not hiding anymore. Rhys pressed a kiss to Taylor's shoulder, then to Ember's forehead. We're a pack. A family. They can try, but they'll never break this. Isolde approached, bowing her head. The pact will follow your fire. You are not just parents.
You are flamebearers now.
Keepers of the future. Taylor looked up.
Her body ached.
Her soul burned. But she felt whole. We're not done. This isn't the end. No, Rhys said. It's the beginning. The sky split above them. A crack of light across the stars. And somewhere far beyond the mountains, something ancient held back. The forest hadn't moved in days. Not a branch. Not a leaf. The trees surrounding the circle of the forgotten moon had gone completely still, as though the world itself had paused, watching, waiting. Taylor knew why. Ember had been born into a crack in time. She was only a few days old, but she pulsed with an energy that didn't belong to any realm Rhys or Taylor had ever known. And the magic around them was listening. Ember didn't cry.
She glowed.
Every time Taylor touched her, her tiny body radiated warmth that tingled against the skin, like sunlight held just under the flesh. Rhys held her with reverence, almost too carefully, as if one wrong move would cause the earth to unravel. Taylor noticed at first the distance, subtle, quiet, but there. Rhys's smiles were softer, more strained. Her silences longer. At night, while Taylor and Ember slept curled in the center of the sanctuary, Rhys stood at the edges, staring into the trees, sword across her back. You think she's not really ours, Taylor said on the third night, the words soft but piercing. Rhys didn't turn. I know she is. She has your strength, and my stubbornness. But she swallowed. She's more than us. And I don't know what that means yet. We weren't supposed to survive Vegas, Taylor said, walking up behind her, pressing her forehead to Rhys's shoulder. But we did. We weren't supposed to fall in love. But we did. And Ember, she wasn't supposed to exist either. But she's here. Maybe that's the point. Maybe, Rhys said. But I keep thinking about what that priestess said. That Ember is the veil. Taylor tensed. You think she's a threat? No, Rhys said, turning at last. I think the world will. They were interrupted by the air shifting. Not wind, presence. Something stepped through the edge of the circle, bypassing every ward like they were paper. Taylor reached instinctively for Ember, her magic rising. Rhys's sword was already drawn. And then she stopped. Frozen. Eyes wide. Impossible, she whispered. The figure before them was tall, robed in silver that shimmered like moonlight on snow. Her hair was bone-white, falling in long, delicate braids. Her eyes glowed faintly lavender. But it wasn't her appearance that made Rhys tremble. It was the mark on her collarbone. The sigil of the Bloodborne Pact, a faction thought extinct. This can't be, Rhys said. You're dead. The woman stepped forward. I was. And now, I'm not. Your daughter pulled me from the other side. Why? Taylor asked, cradling Ember close. The woman's eyes locked on the baby. Because she needs to know who you are. Both of you. And what was left out of every prophecy. Rhys stepped forward, jaw clenched. What do you mean? The woman touched the sigil at her throat. The council feared this child not just because of her magic, but because of her lineage. She carries the blood of Kale, yes. But not just his. Rhys, your blood was touched by the Bloodborne Pact long ago. You carry a dormant mark. The same as I once did. That's not possible, Rhys growled. My bloodline was clean. Not clean, the woman said. Erased. Taylor's breath hitched. What does that mean for Ember? It means, the woman said slowly, that she is the first true hybrid of Bloodborne and Wraithborn. The magic in her is ancient.
Wild.
Forbidden. And it means she is the fulfillment of a prophecy that no one dared write down. Say it, Taylor demanded. The woman looked directly into her. The child born of love between life and death shall break the cycle of fate and write a new law upon the stars. Silence. Heavy. Sharp. Taylor's chest tightened.
Why us?
Why her? Because no one else would have loved through it, the woman said gently. No one else would have chosen each other when everything around you demanded surrender. Ember stirred in Taylor's arms. Her eyes opened for the first time. Not fully, but just enough. And what glowed in them was not just light. It was language. She looked at Reese and Taylor like she knew them, as if she'd known them forever. She's listening, Reese whispered. She understands us.
She always has, the woman said. She chose you before she was born.
Because your love was the only vessel strong enough to hold what she is. Taylor stepped closer to Reese, their daughter between them. What happens now? The woman's gaze hardened. Now you must run, not out of fear, but to find the others like her. Because if Ember is the first, she won't be the last. And there are those who would kill the future before it has a chance to take its first breath. Who? Reese asked. The Hollow? Worse, the woman said. The keepers of the first flame. They were once protectors of balance.
But now, they fear change.
They believe Ember is a harbinger of chaos. That she must be unmade. Over our dead bodies, Reese growled. That is their exact plan, the woman said. You have 1 moon cycle to prepare. After that, the keepers will descend. And they will bring judgment. Taylor's magic surged. Reese's eyes burned gold. And Ember smiled. Reese turned to Taylor. We leave tonight. We find allies. We protect her. With everything. Always, Taylor said. But we don't just protect her anymore. No.
No.
We teach her to burn. As the night deepened, the woman vanished, fading like mist at dawn. Taylor, Reese, and Ember stood at the edge of the future, hearts aligned, hands entwined. A family, a miracle, a spark against the dark. And somewhere beyond the veil, the stars began to shift. The path they followed wasn't marked on any map, because it didn't belong to this world. Not entirely. Saris called it the Veil Walk, a hidden route that slipped between time and space, weaving through forgotten ruins, hollow forests, and memories that didn't belong to the ones who dreamed them. Reese held Taylor's hand the entire way, not just for protection, but for grounding. Because with every step deeper into the Veil Walk, Reese's blood began to stir. The mark the bloodborne emissary had spoken of, the one Reese never knew she carried, was awakening. It started as a hum behind her ribs, then a pulse beneath her skin. But it was Ember's gaze, steady, golden, unblinking, that told Reese the truth. She knows what I am. And she's not afraid. Taylor noticed the change. Reese had grown quieter. Not out of fear. Out of control. Her eyes burned longer. Her skin ran hot when she held Ember. Once, she touched a tree, and it burst into ash. Talk to me, Taylor said as they camped under a silver-barked tree that whispered their names in languages long dead. Whatever's happening, I can handle it. Reese stared into the fire. You shouldn't have to. That's not your choice. Reese finally looked at her. What if I'm dangerous? Taylor stepped closer. Then I'll be your shield. What if I lose control? Then I'll hold you until you remember who you are. Reese's throat tightened. What if the keepers are right? Taylor blinked. You mean? What if Ember really is too powerful? What if she's the beginning of the end? Taylor's voice didn't shake. Then I will love her through the end of everything. Reese broke then. Just a little. Enough for Taylor to see how deep the fear had sunk. Enough for her to climb into Reese's lap and hold her like she was made of gold and fire and grief. You're allowed to be scared, Taylor whispered, pressing her forehead to Reese's. You don't have to carry it alone. I'm supposed to protect you. Both of you. You are. You always have. But sometimes Taylor's voice caught. Sometimes even warriors need to be protected from themselves. Ember, nestled against Taylor's chest, cooed softly. Her glow flickered like a heartbeat, and for a moment, the fear slipped away. Just a little. Long enough for Reese to kiss her wife, slow and deep and full of unspoken apologies. The next day, the Veil Walk led them to a place Reese never thought she'd see again. A ruin carved into the side of a cliff, the stone black and veined with silver. The Temple of the Bloodborne Pact. Abandoned, burned, but not silent. "This is where my line ends," Reese murmured. "Or begins," Sarah said. "Depending on how honest you're willing to be." Inside, the air was thick with power. And memories. Shadows moved across the walls without casting them, and in the heart of the ruins stood a statue, half woman, half flame. Ember reached for it instantly. Taylor caught her wrist. "She knows this place." "Because she remembers," said a new voice. Female.
Clear. Cold.
An old woman stepped from the shadows, wrapped in bone-gray robes, her eyes clouded but glowing faintly red. "You carry the future," she said, pointing to Taylor. "And you," she turned to Reese. "You carry the failure of the past." Reese flinched. "You knew me." "I knew what you were meant to be," the woman said. "But they erased you, scrubbed your name from the ledgers, buried your power. You could have ruled the West. I didn't want power." "Then why did you fall in love with someone who holds the key to all of it?" Taylor stepped forward. "You talk like you know the future."
"I wrote it," the woman said.
"I was the last seer of the pact. I saw Ember long before she had a name." "Then tell me what she is," Taylor said. The seer turned to Ember. "She is the breath between realms, the flame between heartbeats. She will burn the laws of magic and write new ones in lullabies. She is not meant to be a weapon." "Then why does everyone keep trying to make her one?" Taylor snapped. "Because she threatens the foundation of the old world," the seer said. "But she also threatens you." Reese tensed. "What does that mean?" "She carries your blood, yes. But it is not dormant in her. It's awake. She'll awaken the blood in you too. You'll feel it. Hunger.
Power.
Rage. You'll want to burn for her." "I'd burn the world for her," Reese said. "That is not a metaphor," the seer said. "The more you bond with her, the more that ancient fire inside you will flare. And one day, you'll have to choose. Her or your soul." Taylor's breath caught. "You're saying Reese will hurt Ember?" "No," the seer whispered. "I'm saying she might die to save her." Silence fell like a stone. Ember reached for Reese, touched her cheek, and something clicked. The fire in Reese's blood surged, but not with fury, with clarity, with love. And in that moment, she knew, I will never be afraid of what I am again. Not if it means keeping her safe. That night, Reese told Taylor everything. The memories coming back, the training she never finished, the rituals they erased from her mind. Taylor held her as the fire inside her wife flickered higher and higher. "You're still mine," she whispered. "Every version of you. The girl they tried to erase. The woman you've become. The fire you're learning to carry. All of it mine." Reese kissed her like it was the last time. Like it might need to be. Taylor pulled her closer. "Don't you dare break on me." "Never," Reese said, voice rough. "I'd rather burn beside you than live without you." They made love in the ruins. In firelight and moonlight. In promise and prophecy. And Ember, asleep between them afterward, glowed brighter than ever. A new dawn rose. One cycle remained. The keepers would come soon. But Reese had remembered who she was. And Taylor had never forgotten what they were fighting for. And Ember? She was still smiling. They didn't sleep much after the seer's warning. Something about the air had changed, denser, heavier, like every breath came laced with ash. Ember seemed unbothered, her tiny fingers curling around Reese's shirt as she slept soundly on her chest, but Taylor could feel it. The pull. The weight of fate settling like a storm cloud over their heads. One moon cycle. That's all the time they had left before the keepers of the first flame descended. And Taylor knew, deep in her soul, that they weren't coming to talk. Reese had been training for days. Hours under the broken archways of the ruined Bloodborne temple, her body a blur of motion, magic, fire. The ancient blood in her had fully awakened now, no longer dormant, no longer waiting for permission. Every strike she delivered cracked stone. Every breath she took shimmered in the air with heat. But it wasn't rage that drove her. It was love. Love for Taylor. Love for Ember. Love for a life they weren't ready to let go. Taylor watched her from the edge of the temple, Ember tucked into the sling across her chest, golden eyes wide and fascinated. She's learning just by watching, Saris said quietly. She's copying Reese's energy. You feel it, don't you? Yes, Taylor said, brushing her thumb across Ember's cheek. It's beautiful. And terrifying. That's what love is, Saris murmured. The most powerful kind, anyway. That night, Taylor found the seer again. Alone. Waiting in the circle of bones behind the temple. I need to know everything, she said. The seer's eyes were dimmer than before. Her time was running short. There is a spell. I wasn't going to tell you. Tell me anyway. It's old magic.
Forbidden by most.
It can seal Ember, cloak her essence, hide her from all who seek her, even the keepers. It would render her invisible to every trace of prophecy and bloodline. That sounds like exactly what we need. It comes at a price. Taylor's chest tightened. What price? The spell demands balance. Life for life. It doesn't kill, it unbinds. The caster gives up their soul's bond forever. Taylor's voice went quiet. You mean my bond with Reese? Yes, the seer said. You would live, but you would forget. You'd wake beside her one morning and not remember the weight of her hand on your skin, the sound of her voice when she says your name. You'd lose everything. And she would remember all of it. Taylor stumbled back, hand to her mouth, heart splintering. I can't do that. I can't undo us. Then you'll need another way, the seer said softly. Or you'll risk losing Ember instead. Taylor didn't sleep that night. She sat beside Reese under the stars, Ember curled between them, watching the flames flicker in silence.
Reese took her hand.
You're far away tonight, she murmured. Just thinking. Dangerous habit. Taylor gave a broken smile. If there was a way to protect Ember, to guarantee her safety, but it cost us, would you take it? Reese's body went still. Is that a real question? Taylor nodded. Then no, she said without hesitation. Because she was born from us. She's our fire. If we put it out, what are we saving her into? But if they take her, then we burn the world down before they try. Taylor turned toward her, eyes filling with tears. I don't want to lose you. You won't. Promise me, Taylor whispered. Reese touched her face. I will love you beyond memory, beyond magic. If you forget me, I will remind you every day. If you stop knowing who you are, I'll become your mirror. If we die, don't, Taylor begged. Then live, Reese said, voice fierce. Live with me. Fight with me. Don't choose silence over us. They kissed like the end of the world. Like it was their last night. And in some ways, it almost was. The next morning, Ember woke screaming. The kind of scream that shook trees. That shattered stones. That turned the temple's remaining pillars to dust. Taylor ran to her, magic already flaring, but Ember's glow had changed. It wasn't soft. It wasn't gold. It was white-hot, like lightning, like truth. And her voice, not her cry, her voice, echoed inside Taylor's mind. They're coming. Reese didn't wait. She armed herself in seconds. The keepers? No, Sarah said, emerging from the trees.
Scouts.
Testing the edge of the Veil Walk. Taylor cradled Ember. She saw them. She felt them. Then the spell might not be enough, Saris warned. Even cloaked, she's too powerful to truly hide. If she flares like this again, they'll track it. We have to move, Reese said. We can't stay here. We need to take her to the Hallow Cradle. That place doesn't exist anymore, Sarah said. Then we make it exist again.
Taylor didn't speak. Couldn't. Not yet.
She stared at Ember, at Reese, at the seer's words echoing in her head. One spell. One sacrifice. She wanted to scream. to beg the world to offer her a way out that didn't cost her soul. But she knew, when the time came, if Ember's life depended on it, she would break the bond. She would forget everything, and hope that somehow, Reese would make her fall in love again. As the sun rose, Reese pressed a kiss to her temple. Whatever's coming, we face it together. Taylor smiled through her tears. I'll always find my way back to you. Even if she didn't remember how. The Hallow Cradle was only a myth. A whisper passed down in forgotten lullabies, in blood-soaked texts buried beneath the council's halls. It wasn't a place. It was a promise. A space outside of time, once used to birth the world's first flame-bearers, children of magic too ancient to be measured. Taylor didn't know how they would find it. She only knew they had to try. But Reese was already bleeding. The first ambush came just before nightfall. They never saw them coming. The keepers moved like ghosts, silent and exact. The forest warped under their presence. Trees rotted in seconds. Magic itself recoiled. The scouts weren't there to negotiate. They came to take Ember. And they almost did. Reese fought like fury made flesh. Her blade sang, her blood boiled, her fire rose higher than the trees. But there were too many. One of the keepers, tall, silver-eyed, with a brand shaped like a sun burned into her throat, reached Taylor's back. Taylor had Ember in her arms. She didn't have time to turn. Reese did. She stepped between them, took the hit meant for Taylor. A blade of magic sunk deep into her side. Taylor screamed. Reese dropped. The forest exploded. Taylor's magic surged like a storm without sky. She unleashed everything, her grief, her rage, her terror. The keepers were thrown back, burned to ash in seconds. It wasn't power. It was love. Wild, holy, uncontainable. The fire didn't touch Reese. It circled her body, a protective storm. But Taylor knew. It wasn't enough. She dropped to her knees, Ember cradled against her chest, her free hand pressed to Reese's wound. Stay with me, she begged, sobs tearing from her throat. Don't you dare leave me. Reese smiled through the blood. Tay, it's okay. No, it's not, she snapped. You're not allowed to say goodbye. You promised. Reese's fingers brushed her face. I meant it. I still mean it. But if this is the end, it's not. Taylor screamed. It's not. But Ember was crying. Not loud. Not human. Her cry was cosmic. Every leaf burned white. The sky split open. And Taylor heard the seer's voice inside her skull like thunder. The spell will bind her. It will protect her. But it will cost your soul's tether. You will forget. She will not. Taylor didn't hesitate. She laid Ember gently beside Reese's body, whispering, wait for her. Then she stood, barefoot, blood-streaked, on fire. The world blurred. Time folded. She walked into the spell's heart with a single word on her lips. Reese. The ritual carved itself into the dirt. Runes of gold and ash appeared at her feet. Her bond, the one she'd made with Reese under the moon, through the soul binding, shimmered out of her chest like thread. The magic recognized her grief, her love, her choice. I'm sorry, Taylor whispered. Please let her live. The magic answered, with pain, with light. It ripped through her like wildfire through silk. She felt her memories burning. Their first kiss, Reese's laugh, the sound of her name when whispered against skin. Her wedding, her vow, their daughter. It all blurred. It all slipped. And when the spell ended, when the final word etched itself in fire across the sky, Taylor collapsed. Not unconscious. Empty. Ember stopped crying. Reese took a breath. The wound had closed. Magic stitched her back together. Her eyes opened, just in time to see Taylor fall. She ran to her, held her. Tay. Taylor blinked up at her, and didn't know her. Are you okay? Taylor asked. Reese froze. You don't know me? I'm sorry, Taylor whispered, confused. Do I know you? Ember cooed. Reese turned, heartbreaking, soul burning. She saved us. She saved me, Sarah said behind her, emerging from the edge of the ward, eyes wet. But the cost was everything. Reese held Taylor's face in her hands, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. "You loved me," she whispered. "You chose me. Over everything." Taylor didn't flinch, didn't smile, just nodded, politely, like a stranger trying to be kind. "I'm sure I had a good reason." Ember crawled into Taylor's lap. Taylor let her, gently, curious. And something flickered in her eyes. Not recognition, but warmth. Reese saw it, held onto it like a lifeline. "We'll start again," she said. "You don't know me, but I know you. I'll tell you our story, one chapter at a time, until you remember, or fall for me all over again." Taylor tilted her head. "That sounds nice." Reese smiled through her devastation. "It was. It will be again." She leaned forward, pressing a soft kiss to Taylor's forehead. Taylor didn't resist. But she didn't react. Ember glowed quietly in Taylor's arms. The keepers would return. The war wasn't over. But in this moment, in the aftermath of love's greatest sacrifice, Taylor was alive. Ember was safe. And Reese was still fighting. Not for the world. Not for prophecy. For them. Taylor didn't remember the first time she fell in love with Reese Sinclair. But the world did. The veil still trembled from the spell she had cast, the act of unbinding her soul from its mate. The ancient forest, now scarred by fire and grief, whispered her name in the winds. Ember's magic had quieted since that night, pulsing low and soft, like it too was morning. Reese stayed close. Always. But never too close. She didn't force memories. She didn't beg for recognition. Instead, she showed Taylor, day after day, the life they had built. She brought her tea in the morning, protected her when danger loomed, held Ember when Taylor's body trembled with exhaustion, even if her heart didn't remember why it still ached. Sometimes, Taylor would stare at Reese too long, like her body knew something her mind had lost. Sometimes her fingers brushed Reese's in passing, and a strange warmth would rise in her chest. But the memory never returned. Not fully. Only pieces. And time was running out. The keepers were coming. This time in full force. Not scouts. Not whispers. A reckoning. The seer had vanished. Saris had begun gathering the scattered remnants of the Moonbone Pact. And Isolt's warriors trained in silence, preparing for the worst. But Taylor, she walked through the sanctuary like a ghost. "Do you remember the day we met?" Reese asked her one night, voice low, sitting beside her on the edge of the stone circle. Ember slept between them, breathing soft, glowing faint. Taylor shook her head. "No. But sometimes I dream of your voice, and I wake up crying." Reese's heart cracked open again. Same place, same wound. "I was fire," she said. "You were the storm. We weren't supposed to survive each other. But we did. Every time." Taylor looked at her. "Why did I give all that up?" Reese didn't hesitate. "To save her." Taylor looked down at Ember, brushing a kiss to the baby's forehead. "She's worth it." "You both were," Reese said softly. "A beat," Taylor whispered. "Do you still love me?" Reese turned to her. "I never stopped." Then came the scream. It wasn't Ember's this time. It was the sky. The stars themselves seemed to shatter. The keepers had arrived. Wreathed in gold flame, mounted on beasts of smoke and light, they poured through the trees like judgment given form. 12, 100. Too many. Reese moved first, sword drawn. "Get her out of here," she snapped to Saris. "Take Ember. Keep her hidden." "I'm not leaving you," Taylor shouted. "You don't know me," Reese shouted back, eyes fierce. "You don't remember what we survived. You don't know what I've already given up to keep you breathing. I don't need to remember to know I'm not walking away from you." Ember began to glow, brighter than she ever had before. Too bright. The keepers hesitated. Their leader, tall, faceless, crowned in silver fire, raised a hand. "She's awakening," he said. "The child of flame and broken fate." "We warned you," another said. "This cannot be allowed." Reese stood in front of Ember and Taylor. Alone. Then come through me. But Taylor sped forward beside her.
No.
Through us. Reese froze. The way Taylor had said it.
Soft.
Familiar. I still don't remember your name, Taylor whispered. But my soul does. And she turned, pressed her lips to Reese's. And the world ignited. Flame burst from the circle, not red, not gold, white.
Pure. Holy.
Born of sacrifice and resurrection. Taylor remembered everything. Their wedding night, the bond, the fire in Reese's kiss, the day she realized she would die for her, and the moment she chose instead to live with her. The spell cracked. Her soul reconnected. And Ember screamed, not in fear, in power. Wings of flame burst from her tiny back. Her eyes glowed silver and gold. She rose from the ground, floating above them, her voice both infant and eternal. Stop, Ember said. The keepers froze. Time stopped. Ember looked at them, at the warriors who had tried to kill her before her first breath. You fear me because I do not fit your past. I was not born to uphold your law. I was born to make a new one. Silence, the leader commanded. But Ember raised her hand, and his crown turned to ash. The keepers fell back. You cannot destroy me, she whispered, because I am not alone. I was never alone. She drifted back into Taylor's arms, and the sky healed. One by one, the keepers vanished. Not dead, just undone. Their fire extinguished by something older than fear. When it was over, the forest sang again, and Taylor remembered everything. She turned to Reese. You waited. Always, Reese breathed. Taylor kissed her, fierce and aching and eternal. I love you, she said. I always will. And I'll spend every lifetime earning it again, Reese whispered. They stood there, the three of them, surrounded by ruin, wrapped in love. Not fate, not prophecy.
Choice.
And in the distance, under a new moon, the world began again. Thank you so much for being here and for believing in this channel. If you feel in your heart, you can donate with super thanks so I can focus more and more on this project. Your support helps me keep creating these love stories and bringing them to life for you. See you in the next video.